All right, you're on.
Are we on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, what we're going to talk about today is westward expansion. Westward expansion began with what? Manifest destiny. What was the thought process behind manifest destiny? What is it? Who can tell me what it is? Anybody? Somebody? No? Nobody?
Go west.
Break it down. Go west. Kind of go west. Why did the go west? Why did the U.S. need to go west? Why did we need to push west? Why?
They ran out of space.
Ran out of space. Ran out of elbow room. We bumped up against what river?
I'll go with Mississippi.
Mississippi River. Absolutely correct. And we had nowhere. We needed more land. Now there's another reason too. Not just our population growing and everything else. What was going on at the time? Who was occupying that area west of the Mississippi? Spain. Who else?
France.
Spain and France. So did we want these knuckleheads occupying area right on our border? No. And there's the other thing going on. What were Spain and France doing at the time? They were kind of skirmishing each other. Around 1802, 1803, there was a big insurrection in Haiti that Napoleon put down, and he used New Orleans to put it down as a base of operations, expeditionary base for the French troops. Now, how do you think what we just talked about relates to westward expansion? I mean, that's pretty obvious. We just covered that, right? All right, we need to get the French and we need to get the Spaniards off the soil so we have a clear shot going out west, and we don't have to worry about any interdiction or anybody raiding our trade routes. Additionally, Louisiana and New Orleans was very important because New Orleans is a what city? Port city, right? So a lot of stuff from the Caribbean coming up through there. All right, easy for us to get stuff up into Tennessee, Kentucky, that area. All right, that's what the U.S. looked like in the 1800s. We just talked about why New Orleans was so important. So why was New Orleans so important? Again, this is New Orleans.
Port City.
Port City. All right, and what did we have? Who did we need to supply?
Everybody.
Okay. Well, we did need to supply everybody. Most importantly, these folks right in here. All right? Because what mountain range runs right here? What is that? Come on, it's right down the road. If I got on Route 3 or 17 and went directly west, what would I hit? Yeah, I'd hit the Shenandoahs, right? Skyline Drive. All right. Well, that's an almost impasse. It's hard to get goods and services and supplies and everything else out there. So the easiest way to get it there is to go around Florida. Who owns Florida at the time?
Spain.
Spain. It's easy to go around Florida. Go ahead, drop it into New Orleans, and then you can use barges and whatever else you need to do to run it up the Mississippi River, run it up the deltas here, run them all up these tributaries. Is everybody good on that? All right, let's press. Napoleon Bonaparte had big plans, not only for New Orleans, but for Louisiana as well. All right, anybody tell me what his plans were? What did we just talk about?
Expansion.
Okay, we talked about U.S. expansion. What was Napoleon concerned about at the time? What did he have going on in Haiti around 1802, 1803 that I mentioned about 3 minutes ago?
An insurrection.
An insurrection. All right. But also, what other part of the continent, let's go back for a sec. What other part of the continent belonged to France? What can we barely see that France had a hold on?
Canada.
Yeah, portions of Canada, right? So what's coming down from Canada?
As far as what?
Okay, well, French, obviously. But what are we talking about? What kinds of goods come from Canada at this time?
I'll go with furs.
Furs, all right, trappers, things like that. The French secretly had plans to have a North American empire, and that kind of troubled the president at the time, who was who?
Jefferson.
There you go, our buddy the Virginian. All right. Now, Jefferson around 1803 decided that one way or another he needs to get New Orleans. He needs to get the port city of New Orleans to supply these territories, as well as get the Spaniards and the French out. So, he sends two folks over, James Monroe and Robert R. Livingston, in 1803 to Paris to negotiate. All right. When they went over there, and what did Monroe end up being? President and Monroe Doctrine, so he kind of followed along. We'll get into that later, much later. But anyway, so he sent them over there to try to get the French to sell. Initially, there was a Frenchman by the name of Pierre Samuel Dupont de Nemours. It's spelled Nemours. All right. At the request of Jefferson, he kind of worked on that plan. Initially, Jefferson was prepared to offer about $10 million for Louisiana, for just New Orleans. Okay? We already talked about that. All right. We already talked about that? Okay. So he just wanted to buy the city. He wasn't so much concerned with the territory because he figured that would follow. What the offer that came back from the French, for brevity's sake, because we don't have a lot of time today, was for $15 million, we'll give you everything. And that kind of shocked Jefferson. He wasn't really prepared for that. But he did take it up anyway. Now, if you were Jefferson, which one of these courses of action would you take? And you got to remember that you're worried about these clowns that are boarding in our nation at the time. Would you offer to buy just the city of New Orleans so that American farmers can export from that port? Would you threaten to go to war with France? If they don't hand it over to us, don't allow us to annex it? Or you offer to buy all Louisiana territory, including New Orleans, so that the French are no longer a threat? If we had more folks, we'd get into a small group and make a decision. And I'd ask you to be ready to explain, but we're not going to do that. So just answer individually. What would you all do? One at a time. Just roll.
Probably choose number 3. That we just offer to buy it all and not have to worry about it.
And get them out, right?
Saves you a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you just buy New Orleans, then you've got everybody to the west
Mm-hmm.
to worry about and everybody to the north.
That's true.
And we're still young, we can't really afford another war, so.
That's right, although we're going to end up one in a few years.
That's a minor
with the
detail.
Brits.
We
But-
want to start one now.
Yeah, you're right. Now, the French were also, they also didn't want to see England expand anymore from their little provinces in Canada down. And the reason Napoleon was so willing to let this area go for the amount of money that he let it go is that, sure, it got rid of France's ambitions to have a North American empire, so that kind of got crushed. He dealt with it. He was able to deal with that and console himself and cry himself to sleep on his pillow. Because the English wouldn't be able to control the area either. America would be able to field the Navy from the northeastern states all the way down the mid-Atlantic, right around Florida, and then into the Gulf there. So that's how he consoled himself, and that's how he dealt with it. All right, we talked about what really happened. Jefferson chose to buy all of it, so you guys made the right decision. Now, was this constitutional? Was the purchase constitutional? This is important. This is probably the most important thing we're going to talk about.
I wanted to say no, because he didn't get Congress approval, did he?
Okay. Well,
I don't-
bought it. Okay. Did he need congressional approval to buy it? Is there any amendment to the Constitution at this time that would require him to get congressional approval, like a quorum or something? No? And, okay, even if he did it without congressional approval, why would Thomas Jefferson worry about this purchase being constitutional? Knowing what you guys know about Thomas Jefferson. He was a constructionist, right? He believed in strict interpretation of the Constitution. By buying land, the federal government is essentially saying that they can do pretty much whatever they want. They can annex, they can purchase, they can do whatever they want. And this would diminish whose rights. What kind of precedent does that set against the states? What does this show the states? Or what could this imply to the states?
And they don't have any say.
That federal overrules state.
What's that?
That federal would overrule state.
Uh-huh. All right. Overrule the state. What else? You guys are going down the right path. Just keep walking. Come on, somebody's got to have something for me.
That there's no state sovereignty.
Okay. All right. It's unconstitutional because the president, it's not outlined anywhere. You're right. It's not outlined anywhere. He did so without really anything from Congress. And it